Good evening. Welcome to Conspiracy Cafe. I'm your host, George Freund. We're with you now. We're with you to the end on the one and only Wonderful That channel here in downtown Toronto on a nice, hot, humid night with thunder boomers in the distance. There's a lot of thunder boomers in the distance in many distant places. Luckily for us, they're far distant from us. It's a weird, weird thing, this media matrix that controls you. You know, even some of the less obscure stations, you can just, see and hear their talent. That they all go to the same mind control matrix school and broadcast to you. There's one of the stations I like to listen to relax from time to time is the FM classical station. And they have the talking heads on in the morning, for, the bimbo style of entertainment just to keep you on your way to work and all that sort of thing, never really dealing with any issues, but just useless, mindless banter that may be popular. And just in a slip, the male half says, if we speak with authority, people will believe us because we're on the radio. So even though they don't do news or anything like that on that station, they laid down in a slip of the lip the whole format for how they control your mind because they're on the radio. And the only way you can get them off the radio, of course, is to turn the channel. It's mind control programming. You should be able to smell it, taste it, and feel it in your soul. And then you know. For a lot of reasons, people can't break that habit. It's like an addiction. In some respects, when I look at some of the things that happen, the concept of the Stockholm Syndrome comes to play, where you're held as a prisoner by your abuser for so long that you actually start to empathize with them and make up excuses for them, even though you're a prisoner and they're your jailer. They've jailed your minds. What possible reason could you have to be sympathetic to them, to make excuses for them, or to actually relish in the flavor of what they have to say? Most of what they have to say is pretty much at a level of where dogs smell yellow stains on the sidewalk. It has absolutely no value unless you're a dog and you read P-mail. But there are things happening in the world that corporate media don't want you to know. One is the worldwide march against Monsanto is going to be coming up on the 25th of May. A grassroots movement to just say, you know what? I've had enough of this GMO horse shit. Tired of it. I don't like eating things that I don't even know what's in them. I don't have any idea about what the effect could be on my body. And that's just taking out the unusual stuff. The usual stuff we know is most of these things are Roundup Ready and created in a way that these plants can eat Roundup. You're not. You're going to get carcinogens. You're going to get sick. You're going to get cancer. Or you could probably cut pieces of your body off, like Angelina Jolie said, because she speaks with authority. And she's on TV. The same thing. But these GMOs are terrible things. You can look up on the internet for if there's anything in your area where you can protest this. And you don't necessarily have to be anything. You can protest in cyberspace. It's one of the best places to protest. Far less riots, a lot more sedate and quiet, but still a space where the mind can absorb information and change things. So then, not only do we have Monsanto doing their hocus pocus, we have the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency in the United States, siding with lobbyists to approve a dangerous pesticide that the European Union has banned because it causes bee colony collapse. So I guess for most useless eaters, everything's just going to be made out of plastic GMOs anyway, so we don't have to worry about the fact that bees aren't there to spread the pollen around so that we can have real, natural plants. So the USDA has written a report about this saying that the honeybee deaths are related to the effects of this chemical. There's $200 billion in global damages per year, but they won't be held to account on that in all these free trade acts they put up. They can lay waste and slaughter anything they want. If you get in the way and pass a law to prevent them, you're on the hook for the $200 billion, taxpayer. I guess that's why we have to round up those ready bank accounts. Then there was a day we missed, the nationwide day of action against corporate personhood. So it was celebrating the 127th anniversary of the Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad, in which the Supreme Court ruled for the first time that corporations are persons. Big mistake. And that led to the 14th Amendment, which is intended to ensure equal rights for African Americans, and that created a steady erosion of human rights, replaced by the expansion of corporate power and wealth at the expense of people. An amendment to the Constitution to overrule the Supreme Court is necessary to declare that human beings have constitutional rights, not corporations. Then we had a chap we didn't have time to get into last week who's now in the clink. Adam Kokesh, former American soldier. He does a alternative media broadcast. Haven't heard it, but it has to be good news because it's something that comes from the heart. Adam versus the man. He's a Marine Corps Reserve soldier. He'd been in the military, been overseas to the Middle East, learned a lot of the lies. He wanted to have a Second Amendment march, something that I'd say are probably quite valuable in America. Not really illegal here in Canada, even though we don't have a Second Amendment, and they didn't put the right to bear arms in our Bill of Rights. But it's not illegal to carry an unloaded, unencased rifle or shotgun in plain view. And it would probably do a whole lot of good, perhaps, from time to time, that just like we have gay pride parades, to have a gun owners parade or a hunters parade here and there, where we can come out of the closet. But he wanted to go to Washington, where all guns are banned virtually. So he'd be breaking laws. But how can you break a law if you have a constitutional right to have something? Like you have a right to free speech. You don't have to go to the government to get a permit to have the right to free speech. You just have the right to free speech. You just have the right in the U.S. Constitution to keep and bear arms. Now then, there's those fine little lines where the United States isn't a country, hasn't been a country for a long time. We'll be posting a video on the website that gets into some of those things about the corporate entity of you as a person, as opposed to a human being, where they get into some of that stuff. But if the United States is a corporation, well then D.C. is like private property, a private inner sanctum. It's not the United States of America Republic, it's the United States of America Corporation. And those are corporate rules. So that square that was supposed to be around Washington with the guidestones is long gone. Although maybe a more amenable thing would just be to surround the 40-mile square and not let anything in or out in your Second Amendment march, like a strike. But he also wanted to go in there armed and express his rights with lots of other people, I assume. The chief of police was dead set against that, of course. The administration is crapping buckets over that. And a lot of people in alternative media say things too. They say things like, if he did this, even though he's brave, and it is your right, he's leaving himself open to have, you know, some sort of false flag get pulled off where someone infiltrates the group, does a crime, opens fire with a rifle to give a bad name to all the people in this protest. That is a serious risk. But I look at a lot of the alternative media that all said this and wonder, because many of them, if not all of them, were on what was commonly called the CIA fakes list. So they all said this to pretty much take the air out of the balloon that this man wanted to try flying, without even letting it get off the ground. So it'd be like back in 1770s when you know, the American patriots were saying, well, you know, if we did march somewhere and you know, what if somebody followed Paul Revere and opened fire and blamed it on us? Well, then we'd all be in trouble, so let's just let the British rule us anyway. I think we can see the utter folly of that. So the big thing was, we're playing hardball, and some jackass, whether he's a Manchurian candidate or a government agent, wants to infiltrate a crowd of thousands and thousands and thousands of armed people and try something stupid. I think we might really find a body where the coroner can't count all the holes in it. I've been to an American gun show only once, and I'll tell you something, that's the safest place you'd ever want to be. Everybody's packing. You wouldn't want to blow a fart out of character. Never mind discharge a firearm. They'd be opening up on you from 100,000 different directions and maybe 50 or 60 different calibers. Ain't going to be nothing left of you. So if the false flag man wants to infiltrate, go right ahead, pal. But they tried something else. Adam went to a marijuana rally, even though he's not a dope smoker. And he just wanted to speak about freedom and rights and the right to choose because he's a libertarian. And as a libertarian, they believe you have the right to determine your own destiny and do what you want with your own body, free and easy. And then the goons caught up with him and hauled him away. Can we show the video on Adam? And we can watch him get hauled away.
Everybody light that shit up. Come on, toss them. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, light them up! Go ahead, say it. Fuck the law, smoke it anyway. Fuck the law, smoke it anyway. Hey, bring it in. Everybody get closer, show some love. Come on, we're gonna make it difficult for the police here. Hey, I'm being assaulted by an officer of the law who is a clear criminal. This is a criminal act being committed by a man in a costume.
That's not word violence! No, stop it! That's not violence! You don't work that kind of violence! Stop the violence!
Wait, you're holding on to me?
You like walked away and it's left me there. And what if I fell on his
I have no idea where Connor is. I think he's over there.
Everybody light that shit up. Come on, toss them.
Okay, that's how it works in a constitutional republic. Adam's in jail. He's locked up, you know, in Philadelphia somewhere in a federal institution. He has no idea what he's been charged with, as I read about things this morning. So did anyone tell him he was under arrest? Did anyone tell him what the charge is? No. They just haul him away. So they call him a political prisoner. And I can't disagree with that. There used to be a tradition in the British Parliament, and that's where most of these rights, you know, like the Bill of Rights came from, where there would be, you know, corresponding seizures of hostages. So the people who rebelled against the crown would hold hostages, the crown would hold hostages, and, you know, maybe you trade them off once in a while, and maybe you never find your hostages again. But is that what it has to deteriorate to? It's just unbelievable, you know, how far. But then again, they're going all the way. Sooner or later, push will come to shove until enough people change the channel. This is the easiest war you could ever fight. You just have to change the channel, turn off their mind control programming. Corporate media isn't going to stand up for this man's rights or anyone else's rights because they're just part and parcel of this matrix that's going to turn it into an Orwellian police state. So the U.S. government went after the chap in Texas who owned a company called Defense Distributed, who published online blueprints for a plastic gun to make in a 3D printer. So we didn't have time to get into that before, but they went after him and said, well, he's got to pull down his stuff, and, you know, all the big arms of government put him in a headlock, and there wasn't a whole lot he could do or go about it because he's by himself in a small group. So he met all the requirements at the beginning when he set up his business, which he called, you know, the Liberator pistol. He got a license to manufacture it and sell it in the United States from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Explosives. To tell you the truth, if you went to many public libraries, you'd probably find blueprints for any of the old steel firearms that are around. And if you had a lathe and some machine shop tools, you could probably make one of those quite easily if you had any skills in that area, which many, many people do. We are an industrialized society. So he was told that he had to take this thing down. He did because, you know, again, he's one man and in a small group. He can't really take on the whole United States government by himself. Many versions were downloaded already, so it's probably around everywhere. I've never looked at it really. But it isn't against the law for someone in the United States to make this gun for themselves, outside of certain states that pretty much ban guns. Selling it would require a license, but making it yourself does not. So he isn't doing anything illegal. The people who downloaded it aren't doing anything illegal. And really, the authorities in the United States have absolutely no business standing up for, you know, some gun laws in some tyrannical state that say that you can't even have these blueprints or plans for it. That's not your problem. To tell you the truth, as a purveyor of liberty, freedom, and justice, you should be helping some of the slaves in some of these other states that are oppressed. Oh, that's right, we're too busy stealing their natural resources and poisoning them with Roundup Ready Monsanto. Like, God forbid they ever stand up with arms and say, hey, that's enough of that stuff. So in this free and American society here, we have a story like this chap here, father of 4, beaten to death. Okay, there we go. Father of 4 beaten to death by 9 police officers outside a medical facility for some sheriff's department. A lot of people took videos of this, and you know, the cops just came along and took all the videos. So if you ever take a video or something like that, don't tell the police you got a video. Just get the fuck out of there. Take your pictures and run. Okay, you're a hot item now, baby. You got the proof. You got the Zapruder film, right? When you have the Zapruder film, you don't tell the authorities you have the Zapruder film. They can watch it on the internet with everybody else. Use this thing. Okay? What you think, this fairy tale vision of what you think law enforcement is a fairy tale. So let's go back in time again to the 1770s. 9 British soldiers grab an American patriot and beat him to death. What do you think the other American patriots are going to do? Could start a revolution. Start a whole new country, a republic. See, we already have the republic, but it's in a drawer. File 13, put away. Now it's a corporation. That's why Obama doesn't need a birth certificate. He's president of the corporation. He's not president of the republic. They can't tell you that. Because some people might want to go down in the drawer, pull that stuff out again. And you might find someone like Adam, who's been in the military, who, you know, just don't mind mixing it up a little bit. They're all trained in that stuff. You know, there's a few people that's got balls. Some of them are even women. Then there was another video making the rounds about this police force in California, Cotati, California. Get a call about domestic abuse. bust down the door, go inside, taser the people inside. So the guy wouldn't open the door, and he says, well, why aren't you coming out? He goes, because we don't live in a police state, sir. Martial law has not been established in this country. Well, he's wrong. Martial law has been established in this country. It's been around since like the early 1900s, as far back as I can recall. There was some act put through way back when, back in the Teddy Roosevelt days, that established martial law. But you see, Kim Kardashian's feet got swollen the other day. Well, you got to put everything in perspective, right? There's your favorite sports teams coming on and all that kind of stuff. Like you can watch the Alex Jones video on our website for the film contest they had about Paul Revere. Well worth watching. Conspiracy-cafe.com.net.org. I pay for those things. Go there once in a while. Expand your horizons. Think. And you see the beer-drinking sports fan talking to Paul Revere. Beautiful piece of film. It would win an Academy Award if we lived in a free country that wasn't controlled by these mothers. So the Supreme Court says you can't kick down the door over anonymous tips, but they didn't have an anonymous tip. They had a call from neighbors. And even though this is a shocking abuse of force, because it wasn't necessary to taser these people, they did have a complaint from the neighbor, and they knew who the neighbor was. So they had a substantiated complaint, and they were arguing. And I went into other news reports other than InfoWars. They were having a loud argument over finances. Someone was concerned about what they were saying or doing, and the police were well within their rights to check on them to see what you're doing. And they should have known that. If I'm going to sit here with Adam and we're going to scream threats at each other and throw bricks at each other and all that kind of stuff, we're just having fun. But if one goes through the window and lands on the street, somebody in the street might be suspicious and call the police. Well, it's kind of incumbent upon us to say, well, maybe we went too far and we'll just tell the police what happened and everything's going to be okay. But when they broke down the door, the people inside weren't resisting. Okay, you got these big, burly men, they go to the beach, pump with iron like Arnold, and you got this old guy who's a veteran still, but he's an old guy, and you got his wife who's probably not going to put up much of a squawk. She's got her hands up, and they just taser her anyway. Why? For spite. Because the whole thing about this taser, something I wrote years ago, it's a replacement for the Pharaoh's whip. That's what it is. It's the punishment belt. You got lippy. You started to object to your slavery. We got to punish you, so we taser. All he had to do was ask this woman, are you okay? Because that's what you were there for. You weren't there to punish them. You were there to find out if everything was all right. Well, it took you had to kick in the door because the guy wouldn't open the door, and you really did have a justifiable complaint. So everything up until that point was okay. You got inside, you saw everything's okay. You asked, well, are you okay? She says, yes. Well, now you got the answer you needed. And you turn around and leave. But no, I had to taser her. Because just to verify your safety, sometimes we have to kill you. Right? We have to. It's because, we're fucking upstairs. That's why we're cops. We're looking for a new breed of cops. We're looking for the kind of cops that are going to round up the Jews, put them on the train, not care about the little children playing on the floor. We step on them! Huh? Step on them! And then we beat you to death! Because we're a public safety outfit. It's for safety, that's all. Fuck, I could get back on the police force with an attitude like that. So Google is Big Brother. There's an article here from InfoWars. Google knows when you're home. Yes, indeed. There's that old Santa Claus song. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. That's Google. They have all this new stuff. Google Now, the voice recognizing search product available on desktop computers. It works seamlessly with all your other mobile devices. That's why Google's been after you for so long to get your mobile number so that we can watch you, you stupid shit, eh? The Gestapo's got nothing on us. And we make lots of money because you're dumb enough to pay us. Performs internet searches by speaking into their computers. And it also gives both the time and location of specific reminders that work with GPS technology. So say, like, you're really dumb, and you can't even wipe your own butt. You can tell Google to remind you when you're sitting on the throne to wipe your butt, and they'll do it for you, not a problem. They'll know when you're walking, driving, or spiking. Eric Schmidt's dream of swallowing nanobots in the morning and having even clones to attend social functions. So everybody who's glued to all these devices is the perfect slave. You beg them for it. So if you were worried about Facebook or anything like that, that's child's play compared to this. But they find out that being attached to all these things actually makes people more depressed than normal social interaction with a real live human being. Google Glass, this other thing, where they, attach this to your head so you can be like the next step to the Borg, when the time comes, goes even further. It's brilliant. And then to, add a little insult to injury, all over Las Vegas, they're putting up these signs. This was on InfoWars. Nobody knows what they're for. It's your tax dollars, right? So they got these beautiful, Orwellian signs all over town. They're going to appear all over the United States in time, where Big Brother can talk to you and help you get out of that depression. We can monitor where you go, charge you for speeding, not having the right equipment, not wearing a bicycle helmet, whatever. Suck the blood out of your veins. Isn't it lovely? Goes hand in hand with this other article. America's roads have been turned into a revenue-generating surveillance grid. So they raise the price of tickets so they can get, they come up with one here. Everything's for safety. As soon as you see it's for safety, it's one of those ones where you grab your wallet and you punch the guy in the chops who's coming up with that shit. It's not for safety. It's for your money, stupid. They're robbing you blind. So one is like talking on the phone in the car or something. You hold a handheld device and they hit you with this big fine for safety. No, they just want your money. They couldn't give a rat's ass about safety. I mean, at least some people are rather poor drivers on a good day. Having a handheld device is even worse, but it's not for safety. It's for money, because we're going bankrupt. Ultimately, they're going to have to steal all your bank accounts. This is just a slow focus thing to get you to kind of wanna, please, take my money for safety mode. That's what they're after. I remember driving in a snowstorm once. I'm talking on the cell phone, going up a hill. It's really coming down. The roads are really slippery. I got a little four-wheel drive at the time. No problem. Just go slow, gear down. I'm going up. Well, the car in front of me can't make it. He gets to the top of the hill and he loses it. He starts sliding down the hill. I'm still talking on the cell phone and I see it. Car's coming into him. He's coming down the road. Going to crash into me. So I just dropped the phone. I can always get another phone, even if something happened to it. Just dropped it. Both hands on the wheel, turn out of the way. Guy goes sliding down the hill past me, back into my lane, climb the hill. And I go, oh, here's my phone on the floor. Pick it up, continue the conversation. Well, I guess maybe I was wired differently than a lot of other people. Most other people would just be talking on the phone and watch this thing come sliding into them and, oh, wow, look at all the pretty lights. But just because somebody's stupid doesn't mean everybody's stupid. Why does every law, regulation, and rule have to go to the lowest common denominator, regardless of what it is? We have to find the dumbest, most stupid person on the planet Earth, and nothing can be better than that. It makes us safe. Would you feel that way if that was your surgeon? The guy who's wiring the building you live in? We can't have like complicated words and difficult things. We have to go to the lowest common denominator for everything. And then we wonder why we have all these false flag attacks or something comes out of the blue and gets us. Everybody's got to be stupid. Can't have anybody smart, because then we might figure out what they're doing to us. They're stealing our money. Osborne, George Osborne from Britain, goes after tax evasion. That was a big thing lately. We have to deal with failing banks, protect taxpayers, and do so in a consistent manner, which means they're going to steal your money. And then now the big thing is, well, people didn't like it, so they got to go after tax havens, to go after these countries where you can have these you know, bank accounts where there's no records and nobody knows it's your money. So seemingly there's so much money offshore from European people that it's twice the deficits of the European countries. And if it wasn't for the fact our leaders and politicians probably own most of that money, they would have fixed that a long time ago. But it's like trillions of euros, trillion point something. That would just even the score. You could have, like, you know, a tax-free year or two. The United States Congress passes the Pay China First Act. House Resolution 807, the Full Faith and Credit Act. So if anything happens, because China owns the United States corporation anyway, and you can't make your payments, well, you got to pay them first. And you can look after a couple other things. I think it was like maybe a little bit of health care and Social Security or something like that. The bill would threaten the full faith and credit of the United States, cost Americans jobs, hurt businesses of all sizes, and do damage to the economy, it says in this. Well, what's doing all that is the borrowing. They're making money out of thin air and getting in debt to someone you shouldn't be in debt to, because the Constitution, that old, antiquated, archaic document, gives Congress the right to make the coins of the realm. And if you made those coins, because the coins have intrinsic value, there probably wouldn't be the inflation we have. You could probably still buy things with coins and get change left. Used to be something here in Canada, you know, because we're based on the British system stuff where, you know, you had a halfpenny. Suckers like this big. Solid copper. And you could buy something with a half a penny and get change. Where did we go wrong? Oh, yeah, that's right. We passed the Federal Reserve Act to give power to the banksters. And here's a sad story. Bedroom tax blamed for grandmother's death. Stephanie Bottrell got hit with this bedroom tax. So if you got a spare room in your house, you got to pay the government an extra 20 pounds a week. So 80 pounds a month, roughly. She died on May 4th, struck by a lorry truck, killed herself on a highway. She said she couldn't live anymore. She had to pay this tax. She was a good person, went around to all her friends, said goodbye, and just arrivederci. Lived in the same house she'd been in for 18 years, raised her 2 children as a single mother. So we see a couple of social problems here. Is one, how come you're a single mother? Oh, the war on the family. Yeah, that was the New World Order's plan from some time ago. Yeah, we have to destroy all these families, break up them, you know, cause derision so we have them under our thumbs. Everything seems to be a conspiracy in the world for some reason. She hadn't eaten in 3 days, but then, you know, she knows she's going to kill herself anyway, so that probably took away her appetite. And she lived around the last winter without any heat or electricity, staying in the dark in a cold place. And then I have to wonder, she's got 2 kids. So she writes a letter to her son, Stephen. I think I would piss blood before I'd let my mother stay in a place with no light and no heat in the wintertime. But that's just me. I was raised different. So why are these people in the dark, in the cold? Well, that's right, this fiat money system. But if you tell them, they slap you. They don't believe it. Oh, that's boring. I don't want to talk about that. What's the sports game? You know, Coronation Street. That's probably the big killer in England. Wooden stake right through the heart. You know everything about Coronation Street. You don't know crap about how money's created and the fact that you're a debt slave and that you're chattel to the banks because your birth certificate is an Admiralty law lading slip. That's why they want the guns. You might as well take all your money first, because you're not going to need it anymore where you're going. You're going up the chimney. Smoke. You see, when they go bankrupt, what we were using the last time is we gave you these birth certificates so you could be chattel. So the banks inherit all that. So, you know, here's this banker going on, I got 500 million people. What the hell am I going to do with them? I only got a 50-room mansion. My yacht would sink if I put 150 on them. Heinrich? We got a job for you, pal. Get them people on the trains. We have to relocate them. Steal their bank accounts first. They're not going to need them where they're going. That's how it works this time, pal. That's why they want the guns. Catching on? No, let me turn on Coronation Street. I want to watch the Blue Jays tonight. Those aren't defense strategies. The world moves at the speed of the predator, not the prey. You are the prey. They are the predators. And if you don't want your little bunny ass chewed up by the predators, you better learn how to fight. Even better, learn how to think for yourself. Or it's the chimney. Predators don't ask. They just take. This time they're taking you. So what happens? How do you get these bills like that? Well, there's another price rigging thing, as if you didn't know. It's on fuel, right? You ever go to the gas station anywhere on the planet Earth and, you know, every company jacks up the price and lowers the price at exactly the same time, in exactly the same way? And at best, there's like a 1 cent spread between one place and another place. I think my dad called that collusion back in the 1970s. So somebody figured it out here. They got different kinds of bankers. There's a breed that's louder, flashier, and brasher than the rest. The commodity traders that trade in oil. And because they trade out of London, it's 1.65 trillion pounds. These guys make 7-figure paychecks. That's $1 million or £1 million plus. Bonuses. You get bonuses for that too. So they rigged the prices, just like the LIBOR rate rigging. This was in the Daily Mail. Articles called, of all else, Champagne Strippers, and just how shockingly easy it is for the sharks to pump up our petrol prices, revealing the secrets of the hard, partying oil traders. So while they're out at night, having the pâté de foie gras and the champagne and pouring it off the strippers' boobies and licking it up and all that kind of stuff, this grandmother is freezing to flippin' death in the dark. So what are these guys? I'd say they're killers. Because even, here's the boys here, you know, just having a good time. Now you're making, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 million pounds plus bonuses. You could easily flip aside a few shillings to keep grandma from freezing to death, couldn't you? Find it in your heart somehow. But these guys, so that's why they had those raids we were telling you about last week, where the European Union went after the records of some of these companies, including Shell and BP. I think it was a Norwegian company too. The trader sent this information to a company called Platts, and then they set the official price. So even monkeying around with just a penny can bring back oodles and oodles of bucks for these banks, so they can make money off your blood. It's absolutely brilliant. It's unethical, but it's not against the law to be unethical. They said even raising it 10 cents if the price was $100 a barrel can generate fortunes for these banks. So what they do is they all get together and collude and send in the same price. Or they create an artificial shortage by not reporting any data. And then they wait till the price starts to go up, and then they report their data, but of course at artificially higher things, and that causes you to pay more for the fuel at the pumps. You like that, right? You don't need your money. What do you want money for? Leave it to those guys. You probably wouldn't even know what to do with a good stripper and some champagne. Give it to these boys. They got experience. And it has a major effect on the price of electricity. Don't you feel good about that? And then, you know, back in the days when they wrote a constitution in the United States, there was some guy named Adam Smith, and he wrote a book, The Wealth of Nations. People have the same trade, seldom meet together, even for merriment, or pardon me, people of the same trade, seldom meet together, even for merriment and diversion. But the conversation ends in a conspiracy against the public or in some contrivance to raise prices. So he knows. couple of them get together. The C word. Even 200 years ago, he said the C word, conspiracy, to change prices, just because they met in secret. There's a sharp cookie. Those sharp cookies wrote that Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Hey, they know. That's why these people want to take it away. And they laugh at the C word. And they have secret meetings. The billionaires had a secret meeting on an island off South Carolina. The Bilderberg Group's going to meet soon in June. What are they going to talk about? Baseball? No. It's a conspiracy to fix prices. Wage wars take over the world. Italians were protesting on the weekend. Not going to do them much good because they don't understand how money's created. So you can protest all you want. You're on the plank and you're going to be marched into the ocean economically. And there's really not a whole lot you can do about it. So it doesn't matter who you vote for or whatever. The bondholders own your soul and your nation's soul. If it's even a nation, it's probably a corporation. Even a lot of cities make it quite plain in their name. The corporation of the city of whatever. It's a corporation. It's not a government or a city. And you're on the hook. Gold was taking its beating, so they come up with this article, are we on the verge of witnessing the death of the paper gold scam? Because what they've done is they invest in this paper gold and move it around like it's the real thing. Well, there's a zillion sheets of paper compared to, you know, a ton of gold. Maybe even less. And people want the real gold now. Some banks had accounts where they pay you in your bullion. A lot of people are getting worried. They ain't got it. So they want their bullion. Well, the banks just said, well, we can't give it to you. We're going to give you the equivalent in money. Well, that's a default. That bank was ABN AMRO. So they defaulted on their gold contracts. People want the real McCoy. You got to hold it in your hot little hand. Paper's just papers, just like fiat currency. A paper gold certificate is just a piece of paper when it hits the fan. You need the real McCoy. So stocks or whatever they have to say that they have some kind of paper gold are only worth the paper they're printed on. And you could probably use them to light a fire to keep you warm in the winter. When Germany wanted to get their gold, they just said, nada. It's going to take years just to get a small fraction of their gold. One thing that's going on too here in Canada is we're getting stuck with counterfeit Liberty dollars. Counterfeit American Eagles surface in Canada. Hamilton police scored a whole bunch of them. So this article's good to show you the flaws. Coin dealers got some, they just tuck them in the roll and you know, it's in there in the middle. You think you got all of them and you didn't check them or whatever, but you can just see at a glance when you look at these. You know, the soft color of this thing, it just looks rather poor. And then, you know, the fine luster of the real McCoy. And they made a few flaws in there, which are pointed out in these articles about the rays on the sun and, you know, marks on the people. Actually, you know, this one looks like the Wicked Witch, but big mistakes on the eagle. The stars aren't as clear. So it's easy to tell them apart. What the fakes are made out of, they're not, you know, 100% silver or 99.99%. They're about half nickel, 40% copper, 10% zinc, and 0.0217% gold. So the size is a little different, the weight's a little different. So you can tell them apart. But be careful if you know, you're finding something that somebody's selling under the back trunk of the car or at a flea market or something like that. You might not be getting the real McCoy. Have a real one with you and look at your own and compare it. You'll see the differences very, very clearly. And I guess they bring them to Canada because we may not be as familiar with the American Eagles because we buy the Maple Leafs. But these coins are just, you know, they're a work of art. They're just made so, so well. So what's the big problem we have? The big problem is they're making all this free trade stuff, and I'm not shy. You know, they're making this free trade crap, is basically building the world for the Antichrist, who was supposed to come out of Europe anyway. And the big thing now is that, we're signing this, or soon to sign this deal with the European Union, so we can take away the bulkheads around Canada and open ourselves up to contagion that's just going to destroy and devastate us, in the hopes of the lie that we can get more trade and business. It's just like Satan took Christ, he put his arm around him. He said, look at all this. Swear your fealty to me and it's all yours. And what did Jesus say? Fungula! I won't. But that's how they lie to us. We're always going to have more and better. But we're not getting more and better. It's getting worse and worse. The debt keeps going higher. They have to suck more blood out of our bodies. And the big reason is, free trade is the juice for the executioner to destroy us. So when I go to work, after my weekend, I see the paper I missed. Details of free trade talk kept secret. See, we're not allowed to know. Our members of parliament aren't allowed to know. You sign a non-disclosure agreement as a corporation or some, one of those special interest groups, well, you can know everything. But we're not allowed to know. So I go to the Star because it was in the Star and I wanted a digital copy so I could email it around, right? Look at this. The page was blank. Details of free trade talks kept secret. Report an error. I reported an error. The page is blank. There's nothing there. It's all white. I just added these words to tell people that got it that the page was blank. Didn't hear too many comments coming back. It was like one of those old comedies, Duck, here comes another one. We're not allowed to know. It's so secret we can't even put the article was in the print newspaper on the internet. It's that secret. They're coming for you. And who's the dude, eh? Like, I didn't even know who the Minister of International Trade was. It's in the article here. His name's Ed Fast. And I like that. It's a good name. Ed's usually a good name for a swindler. Honest Ed, right? Well, we had a real good Honest Ed here in Toronto. Or Eddie, Where do you get to buy all the stolen stuff? You get it from Eddie, man. And his last name's Fast. He's going to pull a fast one. He's going to steal your country right out from under your feet. So you can't forget that loser's name. Now he's a member of Parliament in Abbotsford. We do have people that watch this in British Columbia. And, maybe you'd like to write him a letter and say, by the way, Mr. Trader, what the hell are you doing? You're there to represent us. But you see, you got a birth certificate. You don't have to represent something you own. You just do whatever you feel like and sell the slaves later when you don't need them anymore. So a lot of this crap isn't going down too well in this European Union that we're supposed to get, together with here. This article, remaining support for EU crumbles, poll shows. And that's not a poll like a Pollock, that's a poll like a poll. So it's increasingly crumbling, especially in Greece. They can only find 1%. Like that was the thing they said, like 1% have all the money. 1% of the people of Greece thought it was a good idea. 99% now realize joining this European Union probably wasn't the best idea. So what they're doing is taking your tax dollars to fund a massive propaganda campaign to drum up support because you like it. It's good for you. Don't you feel well being part of this giant Borg of the European Union that's going to go bankrupt and no one's ever going to work again anyway? But it's big. It's so big. And we have a new flag with lots of stars. You see, you're going to get those stars anyway. Once you go hungry long enough, you're going to see stars. Be like somebody popped you in the head, and you see them long enough, you're just going to drop to the floor and die because you won't have a job, you won't have anything to eat. So 77% believe the EU's economic integration agenda has made matters worse. Wow. And then people fight over how to arrange the chairs on the Titanic, the deck chairs. We always said at every budget here in Canada. So do we cut government spending or spend more? It doesn't really matter because whatever you do, it's You can't win. It's the Mexican standoff. Do I shoot myself with the left hand or the right hand? You're shooting yourself. Don't do that. We got to change the way we create money. The other big thing is this violates the laws of economics. Not that that's important, but it's the economy of scale. You can't make something bigger and have it work effectively or efficiently. It has to collapse. Like if I want to build a, a skyscraper on top of a pencil, just because I want to do it and I'm rich and powerful doesn't mean it's going to work. It's only a pencil. It can't hold the weight. The economy of scale will bring it down. Then one of these dudes, you got these super suit guys, man. Like I got mine at Sears for on sale. It was like $70 or something like that because they were going to lay off people, put them out of work. I said, maybe I better go to that store. They had a lot of stuff for sale. I'll buy a few things, help people keep their jobs. European Commission President Jose Manuel Barroso was a former Maoist revolutionary. Say what? Who put him in charge? And then, of course, we have Nigel Farage, the European Union Member of Parliament, speaking the truth and really coming out with stuff. This is the Antichrist system going around the world. Here in Toronto, we got big news, too. Like they said the mayor got caught smoking crack. On film. But nobody's seen the film. Well, how the hell can you print that? Show the film. Well, they're trying to sell the film now, raising money. Somebody showed me they're up to like $95,000 or more now to sell this film. Well, that's a Roman circus. Show me the film. If it was that important, I caught the mayor smoking crack, he'd just say, this is the film I got. You look at it. It's here on this show. Watch it. I'm not going to raise money for this. It's immoral. If it's true. I can't see the mayor smoking crack because one of the side effects is you lose weight. He's a big boy. He ain't losing no weight. Probably smoking dope. Get you the munchies. That I can believe. You don't see his teeth all rotted out either because crack just dissolves your dental work. Missing a few of the open sores and all that other goody stuff. So you don't look anything like a crackhead. So somebody's telling me something, and when I look at the results, they don't look the same. It's different. Why? Because they're lying. But you see, if you speak with authority, and you are the newspaper, people will believe it. Then there's this Senator Duffy, another big boy. They're not saying he's doing crack. He's supposed to have double dipped for his housing expensive, and even though he's making a crap load of money, gets a good pension as a former media broadcaster, he kind of pocketed an extra $90,000. Well, the Prime Minister's assistant gave him $90,000, just wrote him a check. Here you go, here's 90 grand. Can you help out with this show? We're trying to tell the truth. Like, you got 90,000 you can spare? I think we can clean up around here like big time. But it's Gresham's law. Bad money pushes out good money. We depend on good money. We don't get that much. But we do speak with authority. So what are these two stories? It's a diversion. Military strategy, tactics. Very simple. We want to raid this place, but if we raid this place, they're going to see us coming. So we create a diversion over here. All the people defending this place go over there. And then we can sneak in over here and take this place over. In sports, they can call it things like a give and go or a fake. So you can get across the goal line. It's the most basic play in the human race. So what are they hiding? We said it before. Ottawa loses track of $3.1 billion meant to fight terror. Not here. That drawer's empty. Oh, not in the wastebasket. It's gone. Oh, well. Too bad we didn't have a minister of money laundering to take it offshore. Well, maybe we do. So everybody focuses in on these fake stories, and we let the big one go by. Like, who cares about $90,000 when you're talking about $3.1 billion? And I don't care if they caught the mayor naked in a gay bar, tied to a bar stool smoking crack. Give me back my $3.1 billion. We worked for that. Guantanamo attorney found dead. Andy P. Hart, 38, federal public defender in Toledo, Ohio, died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Had a child. Represented some serious people. Mohammed Rahim al-Afghani, who was Osama bin Laden's translator, but I guess he was more a clairvoyant because he'd have to talk to him beyond the beyond, through a crystal ball, because he was dead in 2001. Represented Saadi Khalid Saeed Mohammed, who was transferred back to Saudi Arabia. He was attorney for Abdul Hakimi, a Tunisian who was in Guantanamo for 11 years. Defense attorney for Richard Schmidt, white supremacist, convicted felon, allegations he amassed high-powered weapons and ammunition. Well, that almost just goes for almost anything in lots of the states. Jeff Boyd, Lavenderist, 54, suspicion of concealing a biological toxin, ricin, making false statements. Joshua Stafford, Occupy Cleveland, who they said was going to blow up the Ohio 82 bridge over the Cuyahoga River with fake explosives provided by an FBI undercover agent. Then we get to the raison d'etre here at the end. The government, the administration, recently announced that Hart's entire office would face furloughs as part of the sequestration. So that's just part of that stuff. We can't pay the bills anymore, and we just cut things helter-skelter all over the place, and one of them was this man's life, his livelihood. He has an 11-year-old daughter, and he just couldn't make it anymore, and he blew his brains out. Because even lawyers got to eat. And that's the whole sad part of the system and the way it's organized. And that's why there is a need for change, real change. One of the changes, of course, they come up with is they're changing the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. DSM-5 is coming on the thing. So everything's going to be a mental problem. Normal childhood behavior like grief, or probably normal behavior, because anybody can feel grief, childhood temper tantrums, are going to be turned into mental illnesses. This book doesn't apply to many other places, but internet addiction will be a mental illness, sex addiction, all kinds of stuff, anything. Like, everything's going to be a mental addiction. Then the guy who invented this ADHD confessed. So they found out at the Swiss National Advisory Commission on Biomedical Ethics in 22 November 2011, in an article titled Human Enhancement by Means of Pharmacological Agents, they found it violates a child's civil rights to chem them down with the drugs, because they can never learn proper behavioral skills to be a human being, a functioning, living human being. So the guy who came up with this crap admitted on his deathbed, and this was in Der Spiegel, an American psychiatrist named Dr. Leon Eisenberg, 7 months before his death at 87, said in his last interview, ADHD is a prime example of a fictitious disease. But of course, the drug companies make oodles of money on this stuff. So they brainwash you and propagandize you to believe all this stuff. And you pay for it. So when they did DSM-4, panel members were 56% of them had financial associations with drug companies. In one case, we have the assistant director of pediatric psychopharmacology unit at Massachusetts General Hospital, an associate professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School, received $1 million in earnings from these drug companies between 2000 and 2007. And he's making these decisions for you. Can we play the song there, colleague? Hello? Hello? Earth calling Moonbase Alpha. Moonbase Alpha. Hello? Earth calling Moonbase Alpha. Come in, please. Can we play the song? Okay, we're saving it for the end here because we're getting close to the end, I think. Sure. Slade looks funny in their old age. Dave, back to you. See, we're all crazy now, Mama, because we listen to the news and let these psychiatrists make the views. This is a strange one here. FBI bulletin. Michael Dick, counterintelligence agent. All points bulletin. We showed a screen there, my colleague there. There we go. I think I've seen this guy before somewhere, but maybe he was following me. So anyway, he's supposed to have had a weapon, his own personal FBI weapon, and they sent out an alert that he's going to Washington on some kind of search and destroy mission. Don't know how true that is. They said he hurt his hand in a training accident and, you know, whatever. But it's kind of strange that you put out a, you know, be on the lookout for a counterintelligence agent from the FBI. Like that nice, you know, Illuminati triangle up there, the all-seeing eye and all that kind of crap. So, you know, ultimately his lawyer said he's okay, he's at home. And then they got on the bulletin, he owns an AR-15. But he's okay. Two guys who aren't okay is two FBI agents in the Husky rescue team. Christopher Lornick, 41, Stephen Shaw, 40, died off the coast of Virginia on a military sea lift command ship that the FBI had leased for training. No details. Local police, the Virginia Beach Police, no details. No details from the hospital, Tidewater District Hospital. They're brought back to Centera, Norfolk General Hospital by helicopter, no details. Group is based in Quantico, Virginia, part of the Critical Response Unit. No details. Well, we found one little detail. Agent 99 was kind of poking around, and like I said, at Sandy Hook, you know, like, watch some of these, like, tack guys are going to fall off a ladder or something and die. They're going to get rid of people. Well, these guys arrested a Boston bombing suspect. But it's not the guys they got, like, pegged for the Boston bombing. They arrested somebody else. Oops, no details, sorry. Just like SEAL Team 6. We have a big interview on the website, conspiracy-cafe.com, 3 hours long, but when you get into the part from the father of Michael Strange, Extortion 17, Navy SEAL team exposed. Watch that. It's about the 1 hour mark listening to him. That's what he looks like when you scan through the little screen. He's got everything. When they sent him the details, right, they sent him a big book and the pages were blank. All of them. There was no ink. I thought you put ink in the printer. It was blank, the whole thing. That's why this thing from the Toronto Star, you know, slapped me in the face. It was blank. So he got the disc, his wife printed it out, he read all the things, and he tells all the things that were wrong, that you never heard in the news anywhere. And then they make a propaganda feature out of it a little bit, and I do my little work as a priest here to talk about, yeah, they said there was a Muslim imam there, and he preached stuff, but his lips aren't moving when the words are coming across the screen. Somebody wrote them in there. So I don't know if that's an accurate translation or not, or they're just making it to get me angry to hate Muslims so we can go kill some more, which what propaganda is all about. But I can assure you that if we're fighting a false flag war, if our cause is not just, every life we take is murder scripturally by the Christian code. It's vile. Our government, corporation, or republic does not have the right to break the commandments. The president doesn't have that right. The administration doesn't have that right. The generals don't have that right. You can fight a just war because it's brought to you and you have to fight. It's like somebody broke in here right now and they start slapping us around. Well, we can fight back if we have to. That's a just use of force. But if we orchestrated a thing, like did a false flag attack and blew up our own building on September the 11th and blamed it on somebody else who was innocent, that war is not just, and everything we do there is a sin. Jesus made it quite plain. Something I don't hear, even when I looked it up on the internet, I couldn't find it unless it's, you know, fixed. Matthew 7:23, King James Version. Jesus is saying, "Then I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you that work iniquity." So he's telling you, like, you know, if you're iniquitous, Depart from me, get away. So the Muslim cleric isn't really all that off base when he says, you know, you're sinners and you're going to hell. Well, God said we're all sinners, and if we're fighting an unjust war, which pretty much every war that's ever been fought is an unjust war because they lied to us about why we're going there, because we just naturally wouldn't pick up and go kill people unless they lied to us. And when we do those things, the karma wave comes back. There's nothing you can do to get away from it. It's part of the laws of nature. It goes back and forth. Newton's laws describe that. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So even a thought is force, but an action like a war is force. So if we do a bad force and push it out there, just like the pendulum swings in our Google Doodle we talked about, it's going to come back and hit us, knock us on our ass. There's nothing you can do to get away from that except put out good karma, tell the truth, do what's decent, support your grandmother so she doesn't stay in the dark, freezing without electricity or heat. Stop whoring around with these strippers and actually try to get the price of oil down. Because the price of oil is like the bank rate. That's one of the things that's strangling our economies. It's like having a 20% bank rate. Because business can't move. We're giving all this money to the gangsters and banksters. If it was at a reasonable level, the people could enjoy their life and have money to spend. All the money that's diverted to these oil companies could be spent on other things, other products that would keep the economy going, which would pay taxes and stimulate growth. And then we wouldn't have this contraction we're in. So if we drop the price of oil back down to like $30 a barrel and drop the price at the pumps 70%, guess what? That would be the biggest stimulus package you could ever imagine. And we wouldn't go down the drain. Not bad action. Probably not a suggestion you'd find in the suggestion box in corporate media because they speak with authority. They get paid to do that. I don't get paid to do this. I come here on my own time and my own dime with some help from my friends. Try to set the record straight. You have the power. You change the channel to that channel, and you change the paradigm. And I guess we're out of time, are we there? Yes, indeed. They've got the bouncer at the door rolling up his sleeves. We have a lot more to do. Wish we could. Probably got about, probably go on another hour for a lot of the material that's important and pertinent. But war starting, Benghazi, shots fired. There's a truck that they show a picture of about, they said an Israeli truck was captured in Syria. Truck looks like, came from the Beverly Hillbillies or something like that. So I don't think that's a modern truck, and that's probably why they don't have any Israeli soldiers captured or any equipment in the truck. It looks like something they found in the scrap heap or dropped out of a helicopter or something. It's in bad shape. So I find that hard to believe that's a frontline vehicle of the Israeli army. So I'm getting to think that's just another propaganda story to have it come from the other side. But shots were fired at an Israeli vehicle. The war in Syria will be the war to end all wars. The Bible says Damascus get nuked. Not a place you want to start a fight. The Russians are arming, sending missiles. Everybody's getting horny. It could just be one lucky shot and something starts. Say your prayers, rabbits. That's one of the things that'll save you. Another thing that'll save you is turn the damn channel. Not just turn the channel, but turn those other suckers off. I can't even look at them without barfing half the time, never mind listen to them. You have an option. Take it. Support us, help us, make us grow. It's the only chance you got. So thanks for coming out. We appreciate it. Aaron helping out here on the desk, playing all these buttons and stuff like that. It helps a lot. This is Conspiracy Cafe. I'm your host, George Freund. This is That Channel. We'll be with you again next week, Thursday. Same that time, same that channel. Good night.